A late-night security cam shows a plush toy on a shelf, slowly shifting positions every time the screen flickers. The timestamp reads 3:17 a.m. One frame shows its head completely turned around. My name is the Tales Keeper, and tonight's bedtime horror isn't just soft and squishy, it's stitched with something far darker. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a horror story. Now, let's begin. It started like a joke. You were up late again? 2:46 a.m. Scrolling through a weird TikTok rabbit hole of mystery box unboxings and haunted thrift hauls. Your feed suddenly shifted. A live auction popped up with a single viewer and a static background. The camera pointed at a table under a dim light. On the table sat a plush doll. It wasn't cute, not in the conventional way. Its body was lumpy, almost overstuffed. The fur was a muddy shade of gray-brown, matted in odd patches. The arms were too long for its frame, ending in soft, limp paws. One ear was longer than the other, and its stitched mouth curved up just a little too far, like it was trying to smile, but didn't know how. The seller didn't speak. No face, no voice. They just typed into the chat. Only one. No refunds. It chooses its home. You couldn't explain why, but your heart skipped a beat. People buy dumber things online all the time, right? Curiosity and adrenaline pushed you. You placed a bid. The seller didn't acknowledge it. No thanks. No sound. They just slowly reached off camera and pulled the plush off the table. The screen went black. No confirmation page. Just a PayPal charge for $17.77 with the note, "For him." You waited 3 days. No shipping info. No package updates. You forgot about it until the box showed up on your doorstep. No label, no address, just your name, written in thick marker like it had been done by hand, trembling. Inside was the plush. It looked slightly different than the one you saw on stream. The same crooked smile, but its eyes seemed glossier now. Its limbs were softer, more pliable. Its stitched tag had been removed. There was only a scrap of cloth left, torn clean. You set it on your desk, joking to yourself that you had just bought a cursed beanie baby. You even made a joke post for Instagram. "Say hello to my new bestie. It chooses its home. Lamau." You closed your curtains, turned off the light, and went to sleep. And in the darkness, back in the room behind you, the plush sat quietly. The next morning, you barely noticed it. You were groggy, late for work, and your room was the usual mess of tangled blankets, half-finished energy drinks, and phone chargers. But when you passed by your desk, something tugged at your brain. The plush wasn't where you left it. You clearly remembered placing it facing your window. It was now turned toward your bed. You paused. Maybe you bumped it. Maybe it fell and you just instinctively set it back down. You brushed it off. But that night when you returned from work, it had moved again. Now it sat on your desk chair. One of its floppy arms was propped up, bent at the elbow, like it had been waving. You stared at it, swallowed the tightness in your throat. "Okay, very funny," you mumbled to no one, trying to convince yourself that maybe someone had been messing with you. A sibling, a roommate, but no one else had a key to your apartment. You picked it up and examined it more carefully. Its seams were strange, jagged, uneven, as if someone had unstitched and restitched parts of it by hand. You pressed down on the body, lumpy stuffing, and something else. It wasn't just plush inside. There was resistance, something small, hard, buried deep in its chest. Like a bead? Or a tooth? You dropped it. The plush flopped over silently, its stitched smile tilted toward you like it knew something. That night, you left it facing the wall. You even took a photo before bed. Time-stamped. Geotagged. Just in case. Then sometime around 3:18 a.m., you woke up in a cold sweat. The air felt wrong. You turned your head slowly toward the desk. The plush was now facing you. Its head was tilted slightly, its stitched smile wider. No footsteps, no noise, no explanation. Just movement that shouldn't be possible. You sat up, heart pounding. "I'm going crazy," you whispered. But as you reached for your phone, you noticed your photo from earlier. In that picture, the plush's stitched mouth was small, passive, neutral. But now, here, in real life, that mouth had more stitches. The grin had grown. You didn't sleep after that. You didn't sleep the next night either. You tried. You told yourself it was just stress, lack of sleep, your imagination playing tricks on you. Maybe the stitches had always been that way. Maybe the lighting made it look different. But deep down, you knew. You knew it was changing. You set up your phone that night to record, camera angled at the plush. Low light, full battery. You hit record. You climbed into bed. And despite the creeping dread, exhaustion won. You woke up at 4:02 a.m. The plush wasn't on the desk anymore. It was sitting at the foot of your bed. You bolted upright. For a moment, the fear froze you solid. Your breath caught in your throat as your eyes adjusted in the darkness. There, it sat. Silent. Staring. Unmoved by your reaction. Its red button eyes gleaming faintly in the moonlight. You scrambled for your phone. The recording was still going. You tapped through, fast-forwarding, frame by frame, until you found it. At 2:47 a.m., the plush moved. First, it twitched. Then, with a jerky, unnatural motion, it slid off the desk and landed on the floor. But it didn't fall. It climbed down. Its arms pulled it forward. Its head lifted, inch by inch, as it turned toward the camera. Then the screen glitched, just for a second. When it came back, the plush was gone, and the timestamp jumped to 2:48 a.m. You stared at the footage. Your hands trembled. Then, in the final second before you woke up, it crawled into frame from the corner of your room. It slowly climbed onto your bed. The last frame before the recording stopped was the plush sitting, legs crossed at the foot of your bed facing you. You dropped your phone. You didn't pick it up for hours. That morning, you locked the plush in your closet, duct taped the door, blocked it with your dresser. But deep down, you already knew that wouldn't stop it. You didn't touch the closet all day. You avoided that corner like it burned. Every creak in the house made you jump. Every shadow made your skin crawl. You told yourself maybe you imagined it. Maybe you dreamed the video. Maybe you were losing it. But when night fell, you knew. It wasn't over. You brushed your teeth like normal, half laughing at yourself, trying to feel normal, to pretend. But when you looked up, the mirror didn't show you. Not at first. It showed you, yes, but not now. Not your current self. It was off. You leaned closer. Your reflection was standing still, just like you, but something about the eyes. The jawline, the slight tilt of the head. It wasn't a copy. It was a version that wasn't you anymore. And in its hands, it was holding the plush. Not how you last saw it. Not stitched and soft. This one was grinning. Its fabric mouth torn into a full smile lined with needle-thin teeth, sharp and glossy. Its button eyes glowing like coals. You blinked. The mirror was back to normal. Just you, pale, shaking, toothpaste dripping down your chin. You didn't sleep that night. You didn't even turn the lights off. You sat with your phone clutched in one hand and your closet blocked with everything heavy you could lift. And just before dawn, as the sky began to turn gray, you heard the softest thump from inside the closet. Then a voice, barely a whisper, high-pitched, innocent, playful. You look better with a smile. You were done pretending. The moment that voice whispered from the closet, everything snapped. You yanked open the door with every ounce of fear-driven adrenaline you had, but it was empty. No plush, no figure, nothing. Only your clothes, your storage bins, the boxes stacked carelessly at the bottom. Except one of the boxes wasn't carelessly stacked. It was sitting neatly, centered, perfect. The same shipping box the plush came in, but you knew you'd thrown it out. You remember dragging it to the curb yourself. You remember watching the garbage truck take it. So why was it back? You stared at it for a long time, like if you blinked, it would vanish. It didn't. You knelt, slowly, hands trembling. You touched the lid and felt warmth. The box was warm. You peeled the tape back. There was no return address, no packing slip, just a folded note resting on top. You opened it. One line scrawled in shaky red ink. You only saw the first form. Your breath caught. You pushed aside the paper. Inside the box, tucked in black velvet fabric, was a second plush. It looked like the same design, same ears, same body, but different. Off its fur was matted. The eyes were uneven, and its smile, stitched before, was now open. You picked it up. It was heavier, like something was inside. You squeezed it gently and felt movement, a twitch. Then it blinked. The eyes, glass and glossy, blinked. Not a mechanical blink, not a toy trick, a real, wet, living blink. You dropped it, scrambled backward, and it sat up, all on its own. It didn't move again. It just sat there, staring, waiting, like it had nowhere to go because this was already home. You didn't sleep that night. You sat across the room from the thing, clutching your phone like it was a weapon. The plush hadn't moved since you dropped it, but it didn't need to. Its presence filled the room like a pressure system, like it was watching from the inside out. At 4:44 a.m., your phone buzzed. A notification from Shopee. Nope, not an email, not an app update, a direct message. You didn't even know Shopee allowed DMS. The sender's name was just a string of symbols, not the last. You opened it. The message read, "Second form accepted. Congratulations. You've made it further than the others." Your stomach turned. You replied with one word. "What?" 3 dots appeared. Typing. Then the next message came. "Each plush is a gate. Each gate, a trial. You're bonded now." Bonded. You stared at the plush across the room. The plush smiled. Just slightly. You typed again. "What is it?" The reply. "We called it many things before language was born. Now we call it formless hunger. Yours has chosen a shape." Then, as if that wasn't enough, another message appeared, unprompted. "Feed it fear, or it will feed on what's left." You dropped the phone. The screen stayed on. The plush was no longer sitting. It was standing. No, not quite. It was hovering, inches above the floor, arms limp, head tilted, like a puppet waiting for its strings. And you were the puppeteer, or maybe the prey. You didn't run, you did something worse. You grabbed your phone, opened the camera app, and hit record. You had to see if it was real, if anyone would believe you. The plush hovered there for nearly 10 seconds, motionless, until your camera lens blinked. Yes, blinked. The live view glitched, skipped a few frames, and in those missing frames, the plush was no longer across the room. It was closer. You jerked back, heart hammering. The plush hadn't moved, but the camera told a different story. You scrubbed through the recording, frame by frame. At the 006 mark, it tilted its head. At 008, its arms raised like a marionette being pulled up by invisible threads. At 009, its stitched mouth parted, revealing something jagged and wet beneath the fluff. Not teeth exactly. Barbs, hooks, eyes. You paused it there and zoomed in. In the distorted pixels of the plush's open mouth, you saw your own bedroom, reflected in its throat. Except it wasn't quite your room. It was darker, older, empty. And in the corner, standing where you should have been, was another you, grinning, watching, and holding something in your arms. Another plush, one you'd never seen before, one that hadn't arrived yet. Your camera app crashed. The screen froze on the last image. You, smiling. The plush, awake. You turned toward the real plush, but it was gone. The desk was empty. Only a faint scuff mark on the floor remained, leading to your bed. Then your blanket moved, just slightly, as if something had crawled under it, or worse, into it. You didn't scream. You couldn't. Your throat locked up as you watched the blanket rise ever so slightly, then fall, like something underneath had just taken a slow breath. You stepped back, slowly reaching for your phone again, hands trembling, breath shallow. But the moment your fingers touched the screen, the blanket twitched. Then it bolted upright. Something launched from beneath it, a twisted, fleshy shape slamming into the wall and skittering down behind your dresser like an insect. You stared in shock. The plush was no longer a plush. It was evolving, pulsing. Its seams had burst open, revealing layers of pale, soft tissue and too many jointed limbs that hadn't been there before. Its stitched eyes had split into 3 vertical slits, glowing faintly red in the darkness. You realized it hadn't just been changing shape. It had been growing, feeding off something. Maybe your attention, maybe your fear, maybe you. The plush, or whatever it had become, began crawling toward you. Not fast, not aggressive, curious, like a child learning to walk for the first time, like it thought you were its parent. And then it spoke, not in words, not out loud, but in your head. Do you want to see what I'll be next? The voice was soft, innocent, but underneath it, static, bones snapping, whispers from behind your walls. You couldn't answer. You ran, bolted out the door, down the hall into the street, left your phone, your wallet, everything behind. You never went back. But others did. People who saw the listing you originally bought from. People who also thought it was a joke. People who also bought a mystery, plush with no brand, no tags, just a name in the listing. It watches. Weeks later, someone sent you a screenshot, a TikTok post with only a few views, a stitched plush doll on a desk, smiling. And in the comments, it changes when you sleep. Mine looks different now. Has anyone else heard it laugh? And the final one, it misses you. Some toys are made for comfort, some are made for company, and some are made for transformation. So next time you buy something cute and nameless off the internet, check it twice. Watch it at night. And for the love of fear, don't blink. My name is the Tales Keeper, and I'll see you next time. if you can still tell what's real. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a horror story.